A Clearer View on Love is a relationships podcast for women with clarity coaches Lucy Bainbridge and Joe Monday, helping you be your true self in all your romantic interactions.
So hello, my name's Lucy Bainbridge and I'm chatting with Joe Monday today. And the reason we're talking is because we've both taken a huge interest in the area and love and romantic relationships, which really should be the most pleasurable and enjoyable part of our lives. And we struggle so much in this area that we wanted to start talking about the understanding which has helped our lives in so many ways, and to help dissolve some of this unnecessary pain. So, yeah, I'll just hand you over to Joe.
Thanks, Lucy. And today we thought we'd talk about how to be relaxed around someone that you really like, and because that's quite a common scenario people face. Like, you know, you might wait for ages to meet someone that you really like, and then he comes along and and then you just kind of fall apart a bit, and you can't seem to be yourself. You can be yourself with your friends, and you're really relaxed and fun and like full of life, and then suddenly that all just disappears when you really want it to be there. And I know I've had that experience with several different people, and it's been really frustrating, because it's been like, oh yeah, but if you just saw me, like, I know we'd like be amazing together. And that's kind of turned round for me with the understanding that we've both kind of come across, and how it doesn't need to be that way, and it doesn't need to. You don't need to kind of lose yourself in that way, or feel that you're sort of disconnected from yourself and from the other person, and just in your head, and ruining any chances of getting together with the other person. So yeah, I thought that would be a good starting point for today.
Yeah, I think that is such a good topic, because, like, just when you were saying that, I'm exactly the same as you, and I've felt that so many times. Like, when I see a guy or when I'm around that guy, I kind of start to act up, because, I mean, we all handle it differently. Some people go into themselves, but I know that I definitely know, like, with my personality, I kind of start to act up, try to show myself as the best possible version of me, and it's so obvious when people are like that, when I notice that in other people, but it just comes over me that I need to kind of, in some way, impress this person. And I think as females, do you know what, I think as females, because we're not up to now, we've not really been the people who make the first move. It's been conditioned into us that we're not supposed to make the first move. I've always found it like, well, I have to show, so I have to make it so that he wants to ask me out, or that he wants to be with me. And that's really not, I mean, the fact that you have to think that way means that you're not being the best possible version of yourself, because you're trying to be something. And when you try to be something else, it's not you.
And as you were speaking there, I was thinking, I really can relate to that as well, and that kind of sense of almost like being like a performing seal. Like, if I do this and that, then like he's gonna get... And it's just so disempowering, isn't it? Because we're just kind of like sitting there waiting, And as you say, that expectation that you need to kind of do something to kind of get him to kind of be do enough to kind of get him to then to be inspired to make a move. That's an incredibly disempowering place to be, and it's expectations on yourself to then behave a certain way, as you say, and to be the perfect you, whatever that would look like.
Yeah, because like when actually, and obviously the total opposite of that is when you're not interested in someone. You are yourself, like you treat them like a friend, and this is where it really gets into what we're talking about. You don't think about them. You don't think about the other person, just like I wouldn't think about the way you thought of me, right? Or the way my mum thought of me, or the way that the person in the shop thinks of me. You know, like I don't think about what they think of me. So, and that is when people are drawn to you, because you're not doing anything. You're not acting. You're not planning how you're going to behave. And so people actually see who you are. But it's such a shame that we think that we're not good enough as we are. And it always comes back down to that one thought that we're not good enough. So we must be something else. And everyone knows that feeling of not being interested in someone, and then they're just like, especially as a woman, because that's when a man kind of tends to start to come towards you. So it's a shame, because it's usually that's when they do come towards you. And as women, I suppose, we complain always that we get the guys that we don't want, and the guys that we do like aren't interested. I mean, I've said that so many times. It's almost like I know if I'm interested in them that it's not going to be interested in me now, because of how much experience I've had by going through that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, that's out the window then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying about like when you're not interested, you're just yourself, because it's what you were saying about you haven't got any thinking about the other person at that point. You haven't got any thinking about what they're thinking about you, or any expectation from the other person of where something might lead, or you're just there in the moment with them, and any kind of thinking about that person as anything other than what's happening in the moment is just not there, and that's the thing that's getting in the way when you are around someone that you like, and you're kind of having a bit of a meltdown. It's you're not actually in the moment with them. You're kind of as we were saying, kind of like either trying to put on a show, or thinking about possibilities which are kind of future generated thoughts, rather than being connected to that, really just kind of being in that moment and with that person, and really just in the conversation about whatever is coming up for you in the moment, and it's a clearer channel between those two people when there isn't that kind of like, oh, does he like me, kind of all those thoughts. You can just connect to that person, because that is just not even there, and you're just not getting in your way in that situation.
Yeah, and because that's where, like, just us talking now, because I haven't got any thoughts about whether you think I'm attractive or do you want to be my husband, and do you like, because, you know, we do as women, and I know we all do this, we go, could this be my future husband? Could we, like, and we could start to plan, like, our wedding dress, and, like, you know, like, all these different things run through our heads just instantly, and I know, we know it's ridiculous, but we put so much expectation on it, then that anything's a letdown from that point, basically. Anything. We completely let ourselves down because we put all this pressure, and it's just like us talking now, it's not coming from my thinking. Like, I'm not thinking about what's Joe saying and how is the best way to answer that. It's coming from somewhere that has no thought around it. It's coming from who I really am. And we don't ever really think about how often we have conversations and how easily we talk without thinking. And it just shows how the power of, like, how thinking in the head is not necessary when it comes to how to behave or connecting with someone else. And yeah, we don't need to think about it. We don't need to think about it because the thoughts aren't who we are.
Yeah, and I think your point is something really interesting there around like the intellect and how we can feel that we need to, like, work this stuff out, or, like, say something really clever or funny, or that's kind of all we've got to rely on, and that's got to be really sharp, and we've got to be really alert, or kind of the idea that our best self is actually our intelligence at its highest, at its sharpest. And, you know, in the past when I've been dating, I can relate to that idea of just kind of almost like having a verbal sparring match with someone, a guy, you know, kind of like, and that can create, you know, sexy experiences or whatever. But I never kind of realised that there was more to it than that, and I had access to something much bigger than purely my intelligence, and if I could just sort of relax into the moment and trust the moment, and not always feel like I had to be working at something, working in interaction. Things would just happen and things would just flow. That were more authentic, but because it wasn't in any way contrived. It wasn't me trying to be like, yeah, almost like solving a puzzle. It was just kind of like me being spontaneous and perhaps more vulnerable as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a different place that people can connect to. I mean, there is nothing for anyone to do because we're more than enough ourselves. We're more than enough in the moment. We have all there is to say. We don't need to elaborate. We don't need to decorate it. That's not what love's about. People don't like people because what... And that's so true. If you look at all the people that you like It has nothing to do with their moods, their behaviours. It has nothing to do with what they say. It doesn't even necessarily have to do with, oh, they're always themselves and they're really confident. It's not that. It's because you just like them. But you can't, no one can really like you if you're not you, if you're just acting. And especially if you're acting for the other, for the other's, benefit, or for their perception of you to change.
Yeah. So if we kind of go back to this idea of, but it's actually quite hard to be yourself around, someone who you're really attracted to, what I suppose what I found useful is thinking about or understanding a bit more where my experience is coming from. So like when I'm sitting with someone who having a conversation with someone who I really like, it's like there might be some adrenaline, there might be, my heart rate might go faster, I might breathe a bit higher in my chest, I might have like clammy hands, or and I might have like sped up thinking in that scenario. But what we've both kind of seen as a kind of new understanding in kind of how we experience our life is that all of those experiences are actually coming from me. That I like to call it the kind of inside out paradigm rather than the outside in, and that I can't experience that person without my own thinking, creating that experience, and kind of understanding that more and more, and seeing the truth of that is that it's actually quite liberating, because even though there might be some really strong kind of chemical processes going on in my body, kind of a stronger and stronger sense that is actually coming from within me rather than from that external thing. It has to come from within me. It's actually quite freeing, it's quite liberating, because it's not it gives me back my power, rather than thinking, oh, that person, that external thing which I can't control is creating all these kind of intense feelings in my body. Actually, no, that is coming from my own. I'm generating that, and it kind of has a sort of calming and an empowering feeling to it, quite a liberating feeling to it, because I'm kind of owning my experience a bit more.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. As soon as we become conscious that we're creating it all, I think we are living what you said, but in an outside in world. Like if you talk to your girlfriends, etc., about we've got become obsessed with what to do next, right? What to do, right? So then we're in our heads discussing how to behave. So it would be, should I text him? Should I not? Should I look at him? Should I not? What should I say? And then you'll get all sorts. Be honest. No, don't be honest. Play it cool. Like, don't go meet. And we get, like, that stuff matters. And I've done it so many times. Like, this is the norm, isn't it? When you talk to anyone about anything, it's all about what to do next. But when you're in the moment, it's all about being in that moment, not pre-planning anything. Because actually you can never behave the way you would want to anyway. I mean, how many plans have you laid out concerned with the guy, right? I'm going to not answer him at this point. I will then, at this point, say no to a date. I'm not going to pick up the phone. All this playing hard to get stuff. But it's not natural, so it doesn't last and it doesn't work. And it comes through so much that you're trying. So what I'm just adding to is what you were saying, is that with the inside out nature, there's nothing to do. So this is really a tricky one for people to get their head around, because in these conversations that we're going to have and everything we've learned is that there's nothing to do, there's less to do. So it's about not thinking about it, and it's not even about going, right, so don't think about it. It's not about now, it's just allowing the thoughts to be there. And when you said that it's empowering to know that it's coming from you, it's not that you now need to change what you do because it's coming from you. It's just allowing it to be. Like, because they don't know. I mean, yeah, we give off energies, but they don't know what's going through your head. And also, you don't need to act upon what's going on in your head. So if you're feeling like, I totally get what you're saying, like, for me, this understanding has affected me in a different way. But I mean, when you're really in that moment and you are clamming up, when you really understand that that's got nothing to do with the other person, they can't see it, it doesn't matter, like there's no thing, like almost just enjoy the feeling of the attraction, because that's just attraction, that's just how it feels, and nothing needs to be done because of it. And perhaps the less said, the better. Because when we're speaking, because we're nervous, because we need to speak, because we need to say something next, because he must know who I am, like, and I must need to impress him, and all this stuff. We're revealing our nervousness. We're revealing all of that pent up tension, and it's like, it's okay to have it without needing to do anything about it. Because what you resist persists. So it's just allowing it to be there. But how it really shapes me. There's a couple of guys that's really had that effect on me, because I'm quite an outgoing person. But it really had that effect where I'm like, oh my God, like, I have no idea what to say next. Like, and I feel really awkward because you just fancy them so much. It's almost like the tension is so intense that you just need to get out of the room. I've had that a couple of times. But I think in general, what's helped me relax about finding the guy next and being around someone that I like, or is because I know that a man now, and I'm really starting to see it, and it took, that was a big block. I know that a man can't fulfill my happiness. That's something that comes from within. Naturally, there's a lot of less pressure on what happens next with someone, because I have a faith now, like a trust, that if I just keep enjoying myself and being around people who I want to be around, and if I like them, I like them, and if I get a bit heady at times, that's okay too. But I'm on a journey that I can, if I resist it less, everything will be okay anyway. And so there's just not that, like, but that's a slow, gradual experience that's happening. It's like a slow process that is just coming. And the more I'm going down it, the more I'm okay on my own. I don't, I'm less panicked about where's my husband going to come from. You know what I mean? It's that kind of, where's the 3 kids in the house going to come from? Like, is it him? Is it him? Is it him? You know what I mean? Like, it's less about that now, because I'm happy now, and it doesn't come from them anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's where that sort of, that feeling of tension would come, is that sort of like, oh, he's, I really like him, and therefore he can make me happy, and I've got to just get it all right now. I've got to be me times 10 or whatever, and because he's my shot at happiness, or he's gonna take me to a different place than I am now, and a kind of give a completeness to my life, or a richness or a depth that is not here at the moment. And God, when we put all that on someone else, no wonder we're feeling a bit nervous when we when we speak to someone. But yeah, that the kind of understanding about kind of our relationship up to our thoughts and where our experience comes from kind of opens up this feeling of connection to the moment, to the present, the power of that, and it's just beautiful. I found just beautiful emotions just start to emerge naturally, of contentment and peace and joy, and I find they're there for me so much more easily than they used to be, just from something really simple, just from a sunny day, or so many simple things that I wouldn't have appreciated before. It's just there. I mean, you can even feel a real beautiful sense of connection, like doing the washing up, or there's a richness there that we spend so much time and money kind of searching for, and putting it on this ideal guy, this perfect guy, that I was the last person to expect that it was always there, and you're right, it kind of takes that whole idea, oh well, he's gonna give that to me. Firstly, that I can create that profound feeling of connection on my own, but also that he on his own physically can't give that to me, because he's an external thing. Like, he can't actually give me happiness, because that's not how our experience of life actually works. Our experience of life is from our own thinking in the moment, and not from the knight in shining armour. So there's so much to this on so many levels around helping to dissolve that feeling of tension and what I describe as a kind of disempowering feeling of that other person is going to be able to give me something that I don't have.
Yeah, I mean that we're fed it. Like we're fed. Women are fed that our prime purpose in life is to get married and produce children, and if we don't do that, then we're less than. That we're less than, and that's not an evil thing that's come around. It's because forever we've come from an understanding that if we have a man, a family, a car, a house, a beautiful wardrobe, bigger boobs, that we're gonna be happier. It's fed to us every single day, everywhere you look. And it's just and when we talk like this, I know that people are going to know that what we're saying is true. But it's a different knowing from knowing it's true in your head and starting to really let it sink in. Because it's only just really occurred to me that finding that perfect guy, having that perfect relationship, actually no, it won't be the be all and end all. It's not the end goal. And I know that I knew that, I knew that, but I didn't really know it. But it's just sinking in, because I know that I'm feeling less bothered about what happens in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally true. I'll be, I suppose, get lost in that whole myth of I'll be happy when. I'm not always floating on a cloud saying, oh, it's a sunshiny day, everything's great. But I don't live in that disempowering state anymore. I don't live in that in that state where everything in my life has to be, stacked up in a certain way, and I've just got to get everything in order, and it's the house and then the job and then the man and children, and it's just a puzzle to kind of make sure everything clicks in. I don't live there anymore, and it's just so freeing and expansive and just full of possibilities and of what life could be and yeah, it's just rich and beautiful and so much more than, as you say, what we're fed about what the ideal, what will actually make us happy, or what we need to have in our lives that will tick all the boxes and we can be okay.
So I think that's a good place to summarise, because we could just talk forever, couldn't we, Jo? And so I think what's going to be obvious, it's just come to me now how obvious these conversations are going to go, is that when you're feeling nervous around a guy that you like or something like that, to me, that's okay. That doesn't mean anything bad about you, but it doesn't mean that you also have to do anything. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything about it. And that what you think of yourself and what you think of them are just your thoughts. And that if you can just allow the silence or the not silence, or just remember that everyone just wants to see the real person, so there's no need to be anything else.
and that we've just got so much more power and we have access to so much more power than we realise, both in terms of what we can access and who we are. So yeah, thank you, Lucy. That was lovely to speak to you today.
Yeah, and you. It was a beautiful conversation. I love it. So, yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
And if you'd like to contact us, our email addresses are lucy@lucyforlife.com and jo@jo-monday.com. Thanks very much.